Hello again. Today I am going to pot up this terracotta pot with some plants that I bought recently, like this Euphorbia trigona that has been sitting on the table out there, straight out there in the sun for a little over a week. It's just been too bright. I scratched my eye a week or so ago and the light is still really getting to me. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do them in the garage where it's not so bright and I can kind of, protect my eye a little bit and get these plants out of their pots. So I've got this Echeveria that I bought at Big Oaks Nursery a couple weeks ago. And did I buy this there? I think I did. I'm second guessing myself. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I bought it there. And this trigona, I got this over at Lowe's. I'm going to pull this apart. So I didn't want to bore you with the details, but I did put a piece of screen on the bottom. Added some cactus and succulent soil. The mix that I like is this. You know, you can pretty much get this stuff anywhere. Works great. And then I added some of this Osmocote slow release fertilizer pellets, because this soil that I buy doesn't have any, I don't think it has any, fertilizer in it. So I'm going to try and get this plant out of here. This is going to be interesting because I think it's going to fall apart. So let's see if you want to watch. We'll move it this way a little bit. And let's see if I can get this out of here. I may bump the camera. This actually does have spines on it. It's a Euphorbia. And they have spines. I'm trying to figure out, I think the best way is just going to lay it down. Because I think what they do is they just start these. This came from originally down south. Probably from Oasis Water Efficient Gardens, because this is an Altman plant. And I think what they do is they just start these with cuttings. They just stick these cuttings in here and then they grow. And if they're not, really well rooted or have a big root ball, which this one feels like it is, but I want to separate it. I don't want all of it. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to stick it over here, because I can get a couple of these plants out of here. And then here's another nice section. Whoa, don't fall. It wants to roll. I'm going to set this one over here. And so I can add these pieces to pots, somewhere else. And I'm going to take these two big pieces. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to pull this one off as well. They were kind of growing a little crooked, so I don't know. I bought them at the nursery up here at Lowe's, so they get shipped up here. I don't know how well they were taken care of, but they weren't looking great. But I know in time that they will. So now what I got is this one nice piece, and I'm going to stick this piece back in there. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy. And, it's pretty tall. Here's the, here's the top way up there. It's pretty tall, so I don't want to poke myself in the face, but I'm going to bury it a little bit deeper than that. There's another little piece that broke off. Oops. So I will, and it feels like they kind of start them in, I think, like a peat moss sort of mix, because it's really soft, and I think they just grow really quickly in that. Their roots can, really spread out. So I get a lot of plant, and so that's not something you want to leave them in. You want to transplant them into some, better well-draining soil, especially if you're in an area like it is up here where we get just tremendous heat. I mean, the next few days it's supposed to be 107, 108 for 2 or 3 days. And although you really shouldn't water when it's hot, I will go out in the morning, you know, maybe once a week and spray everything down. So I want to have really well draining soil so that if the plant kind of goes dormant, which sometimes they will in the summertime, I'm trying to just push this down so they don't settle. Oh, I got a little critter. Where'd you go? So that would be, can you see that little caterpillar looking little thing? Yeah, that would turn into something that's probably eating the roots or whatever, so we're gonna get rid of him. And, but some of these plants will go dormant in the summertime, even though that's their growing season, if it's extremely hot, just to kind of protect themselves. So they're not gonna take up any moisture in their roots. And you know, if you really water them in, soak them really good, their roots could rot because the water's just going to be sitting there, and you don't want that. So I'm going to put that there, and then I think I'm going to take this decent sized Echeveria, and I'm going to see, I'm making a huge mess. I don't have my empty tray here, so I'm just dumping dirt out everywhere, but that's okay because Dave's not home to see the mess I'm making. And let's see, okay, I can take a lot of this soil off, and I will, so half of that root ball came off, and I'm gonna just kind of take a lot more of this dirt out because I don't need it. This is actually a really good soil. It's nice and sandy. I can feel that. It has really good drainage. And I did water these really good in the last couple of days. You can see this is pretty damp. So I don't need to worry about water because I know, you know, they weren't stressed or anything. They were kind of sitting there. They were getting afternoon shade. And so I thought, you know, I'll soak them really good. That way when I do pot them up, I won't need to water them in. I won't really want to water them in. Okay, so let me get, kind of hard to do that. I try to keep it on camera so you can see, but this last little bit, I thought about just chopping the roots off of this one and just setting it as a cutting, which you really don't want to do when it's hot like this. That's not good at all. But I think what I'm going to do is, I'm still working on the roots over here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out which way. I think I want to put the flower to the inside. I think I'm going to leave it in the shade here in the garage. I'll put it at, you know, I'll move this table out to the edge so that it will get some morning sun. And I'm going to use some of this soil that I just pulled out of there right back in there. But I'll set it there so it'll get morning sun, but it won't be out in that hot, you know, hot afternoon sun. So although I am stressing these plants, repotting them in one of the hottest days of the year. It's supposed to be about 96 today, so it's not too bad. It is going to continue to go up, but that's okay. We can deal with it because we're tough. Okay, so I got those two in. Now, another thing I did, I'll just take you over here. I'll let you see this, is I just pulled a bunch of plants out of a pot that I had in the greenhouse. So I do have these trigonas kind of in the way. I'll lay them across. I pulled these out too. These were all just a bunch of leaf cuttings, but I've been neglecting them, and I noticed a few of them are kind of drying up and dying off, so I need to pull them out. I think I'm just going to chop them all and probably stick them in that pot just as little cuttings, so I can fit a lot of them in there. But I pulled out, here's a kalanchoe of some sort. Isn't that pretty? And what I noticed was these sunbursts are getting fried. Now, they were only getting morning sun, and I have been treating them because they have mealy bugs. You can see they should be dying off because I've been spraying them, but they are just getting fried from the sun out there. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to pull all this stuff out, bring it in here. These are Echeveria lily pad, and they looked absolutely beautiful. And then about a week ago, I noticed they're starting to burn. And I had a bunch of those. This Echeveria is just like not happy. I have a pearl here. Had some mealybugs in it too, but it seems to be recovering. So I might add some of this kalanchoe in there, because this kalanchoe doesn't have any mealybug on it. I didn't see anything. I got to see a lot of spiders, but it looked pretty healthy. So I may stick some of that in there just for that beautiful red color, because if you look, this has red and green. Don't mind the messy garage in the background. And this is kind of a green with, you know, sort of a reddish tint to the edges. And then if I add this green and red, that'll be really pretty. So let's do that. And that'll give a good home to that kalanchoe. Now I'm gonna turn a light on because it's getting a little dark in here. Which one is it? That one. See if that helps a little bit. Brighten this up. Yeah, that helps a little bit, huh? So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna chop these kalanchoes and put them in as cuttings. Which again, I said, you know, you shouldn't do that this time of year, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I know. But I think they'll be okay because I will keep them over here in the shade. They are really heavy. And I did water that pot too a while ago. So yeah, I don't see any sign of mealybugs in this, just some spider webs. And you'll see there's a lot of, don't do it, cat. There, come here, you. Nope, get down. Let go. Stay down. There's a lot of hard water damage. So you can see that white in there, which, you know, doesn't look great because we have really hard water. Our well water is really tasty to drink, but it does wreak havoc on your plants. I'll stick that down there. I'm trying not to break these leaves off because they are really firm and they snap very easily. And then I got one more little piece. I think I'll stick that one right back in there. So I won't water this pot for a couple weeks because, like I said, I did water everything in good recently while they were sitting out here. And so I think they should be good for a while. You know what I'm gonna do? Here's what I'm gonna do. For color, I'm going to add, ooh, it's getting hot out in the sun. I just grabbed these. So I've got these 3 little pots of Sempervivum, the hen and chicks, and they're all different colors, but they're beautiful. I'm just gonna stick them all in here and let them take over. I really like this. This one is Gold Nugget, this first one. Let me break. Oh, it's funny because you can see up under here where it's starting to send some roots down to meet the soil. Oh, can you see that right there? That's funny. See those guys? Yeah, they're trying to get down into the dirt. I can feel by this temperature of the soil that it is already hot out there in the sun. I'm gonna get some of this soil off because I want to fit all 3 of these in here, and they will just spread out in there and look pretty cool. So I think I'll put this yellow one up against my little kalanchoe here. Oh, what is that? Is that a rock? That's a big old piece of burgundy lava. That must have already been in the pot because I do have that out here. So I'm gonna stick this guy right in there, tuck that dirt up under him, lift him up a little bit, bring in a little more. And I just kind of want to keep them flat because they do sort of grow flat along. I actually have a couple of these Sempervivums that are growing up, kind of, which is interesting. Getting taller, where most of the ones I have typically stay flat on the ground. So this one's gonna go next, and this one is called Mini Mint Marvel. And what I noticed the other day is there's a little tiny, I don't know what that is, some little succulent must have fallen in there at the nursery, and it's rooted. And so that's kind of funny. So we'll let it stay in there. Again, I'm taking just some of the soil. I'm trying not to disturb them too much because I don't want the clump to sort of fall apart, which they will. Because these they grow on like little tendrils, they send out little stems or tendrils, whatever you want to call them, a little too deep of a hole. So I'm gonna stick that there. And one more, I'll add a little more soil on each side because it's actually easier to do it when there's nothing there than after you already put a plant in, trying to fill in the gaps. So we'll get that there. Okay, so the third one is this one here, and I'm gonna let these little pieces hang over the edge, I think. So let's see. And here again, where are we? Are we in camera there? Can you see all the little roots? They're stretching. It's looking for some soil to get itself settled into. So I'm gonna tuck that one up. Need a little deeper. Kind of hard to see around my tripod. And I didn't take really much of that soil off of this one because I didn't want to try and add it back on. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here and try to get some dirt packed back in here. And this is all nice and moist, so I won't have to do anything. You can see on here a lot of the hard water spots also from me watering. Yeah, our water here, you know, I tell you what, when you drink it out of the hose, it tastes really good. It's really sweet. We have great water, but maybe I'll just lay that one there and it'll root itself in. But it just, you know, if your car's parked too close to the lawn and the sprinkler's going off, you're gonna have hard water spots on your windows, and that's not good. Nobody wants that. But what are you gonna do? I don't know if there's anything you could, you know what, I wouldn't do anything about it. I know people put stuff in their wells to treat them, but I don't like to do that. Because like I said, our water is tasty and it feeds the pond and, you know, all of our water troughs and everything. So, okay, those, I'm gonna let that one stay there. So those will root themselves on there. And now, I don't know if you can see, hold on, little trigonas. So all I'm gonna do here is just, these are Vera Higgins, because I'm just gonna stick them. Most of these are Vera Higgins. There's some other stuff in here too. I'm just gonna stick them in here. In the little edges and the corners, and, you know, let them do their thing. The nice thing about working with just a little stem cutting is it's real easy to stick them in the soil. And so that's all I'm doing. And they'll root themselves in there really quickly, especially here. Oops, breaking leaves off. Because, okay, so my camera shut off because it got too hot. Imagine that, it is hot out here. But so I just went ahead and finished it. I added, this stuff was hanging out of the back of the original pot. I think it's called Kitten, something, Calico Kitten or something like that. I threw a few little kiwis in here, a little pearl. Now these ones were all the ones that were infected, but I've noticed, you know, I checked them all. The new growth looks really good. So I think they're doing good. They just look a little rough. We got spider webs all over this Echeveria. And then in the front part, I have the Sempervivums. They look really good. I really like these. I love the Sempervivums. I love all the different colors. That yellow is just beautiful with the red tips. I just tucked in tiny little Vera Higgins and some Rubbertinctum, you know, the jelly beans. Those are all in there. A couple pieces of the, I think it's Calico Kitten. If I'm wrong, tell me what it is. I can never remember that. This Kalanchoe I think looks really good there. You can see in the sun, you can really see all the hard water on everything. So I think it's going to do good. It's not, you know, the prettiest arrangement, but once it fills in, I think it's going to look really cool. And the Kalanchoe will grow up. That Echeveria obviously is pretty tall. These will stay flat. And then in the back, those kiwis Those will grow up a little bit taller, and then that trailing little stuff will hang down. So I put it here. I know it's in the sun, but it's going to be in the shade in about a half an hour. And all of these plants have been in pretty much full sun until like 2 o'clock anyway, so they should be okay, even as cuttings, for a little bit of direct sun, even though I just traumatized them. But yeah, I think I kind of like that. I love the old busted terracotta pots. And yeah, we'll see how this one does. I'll have to find a spot for it, and I'll try to find a nice spot where it gets some shade in the afternoon after about 11 or 12. And I think most of this stuff will be happy to get some afternoon shade. So, okay, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Ooh, pretty. I do love this Euphorbia trigona. This is one of my favorite plants. So, oh, and now, let me show you. Hold on, don't get dizzy. I know it's a mess in here, sorry, don't look around. But I did just go ahead and repot these things, all 3 of these. So I have 3 more nice sized plants to do with whatever I want. And I'll just have to figure out what I'm gonna do with those. And all this. Yeah, I gotta deal with these too. They are just looking rough, but that's okay.